Hello and welcome to B-Side, your source for the sweet new sounds of Kings County. And American music has a rich history of cross-pollination, and pretty much every band out there borrows a bit here and there from different musical traditions. Tonight's act is no different, combining genres like country, rock, folk, and blues to create a sound they like to refer to as cosmic Americana. Brooklyn's Wildermaker is the songwriting project of multi-instrumentalist and composer Gabe Birnbaum, and they have graced some pretty major stages, including Bonnaroo, Jazz Fest, and the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, just to name a few. I'm your host, Rachel Pazdan, and I'm thrilled to welcome them and you into our studio for an hour of tunes and conversation, so stay tuned.
Season, the sweat run, the beat that chipped off the window, fell down like snow. Ice cream, porch swing, skies so wide and folding, forever forgone. Touch me, shivered and fell back. Ooh. Stay up too late, the world on my screen. I know you're doing the same. Sister, it's me. Sister, it's me. And I was an only child. I was an only child. I was an only child. Touch me, I shivered and fell back. Ooh. Stay up too late, the world on my screen. I know you're doing the same. Sister, it's me. Sister, it's me. And I was an only child. 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 I was an only child.
So good. What a banger.
What a
banger
banger
to start it off with.
Gotta start hard.
How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well.
All right.
Doing well. So, do you want to just introduce the band here?
Sure.
Who we have on the stage tonight?
Yeah. So my name is Gabe Birnbaum. I write these songs. That's Corey Todd on the bass right there.
Corey Todd.
Sean Mullins on the drums. That's Adam Brisbane on lead guitar.
Hey.
Hey. Nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
And that's Katie Von Schleicher on keyboards, guitars, and vocals.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Awesome. And how did you guys all meet and get together and how this band kind of, where'd you come from?
Well,
What's the
Sean was working
story?
at a Trader Joe's.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
He was working at
He
a
was
Trader
working at a Trader
Joe's.
Joe's. That part is true.
Okay.
I failed on it.
He-
The glory.
He quit for the glory of the road.
Okay.
Yeah, he came on tour with us, basically having met us one time for about maybe 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Tired of stock and dairy.
tired of stuff.
So this
So-
is your band, Gabe,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Mhm.
And then who came after Gabe?
Katie is the next person.
Okay. And how did you guys meet?
Through a mutual friend in Boston.
Mutual friend in Boston, yeah.
Okay.
was-
College years?
We had I had a practice space where we threw shows in the basement. Our bands played together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I met you because I was recording a record
Oh, yeah.
with our friend Elia, who has a studio in Boston called The Soul Shop. And I needed singers, and so he brought Katie and this girl named Brittany in to sing on the record. So that was the first time I met Katie.
Oh, Brittany.
Yeah, remember her?
Yeah, no, I do.
Now
I
she does
see her.
super top level floral
Yeah.
arranging.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Brittany.
All right, Brittany. Yeah, so then Katie started singing with us sometimes, and then she ended up singing with us more, and eventually joining the band.
Moved to New York.
Moved to New York. We all moved to New York.
The dream.
Living the dream.
Suitcase.
And then, yeah, Sean joined because we were going on a long, ill-advised, crazy tour, and he was sick of Trader Joe's. And he turned
We
out
met
to
him
be,
on it. We met him on a
Yeah.
3-month tour.
We like our
Wow.
drummer. Was a great drummer that we're still friends with, called Noah Hecht, who sometimes subs actually.
Called.
Who plays in called? he's called that. He plays
So
in
Noah
Pablo
was
Pavo.
the first drummer.
Well, there have been many.
Okay.
There have been other drummers. Peter Moffat, who plays in Cuddle Magic, also was a
Okay.
drummer for a long time.
All right.
Yeah, and Noah didn't want to go on this crazy tour, so he didn't go. So we found Sean
And
Yeah.
Trader Joe's.
at Trader Joe's.
How did that exact interaction happen?
There
like,
was
I'm really
there was
interested.
another person.
Our bass player found him.
The bass player for that tour was a
Yet
good
another-
friend of Sean's, who brought him in.
Okay.
And then the bass player quit halfway through the tour in California.
Rough first tour, eh?
It was yeah.
When was that? How many years ago?
That was 2012.
Okay. Crazy.
Yeah. So and then Corey is a friend of a bunch of friends of mine who went to Oberlin. He's a great musician.
Great.
He subs for Nick Jost, who usually plays bass.
Okay.
Short hair, long hair. That's how you tell the difference.
Okay.
And Adam has played on recordings for us, but he's just started being more of a member of the band recently.
Okay.
So we're expanding.
All right.
Since it's so lucrative being in a rock band. Why not?
And why not?
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been in New York?
I've been here for 7-8 years.
Mullins, you have the longest.
Woo!
What?
Wow.
We both have 5.
I'm
do you-
year and a half.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
Newbie.
Yeah, I'm a newbie.
Year and a
All
half.
right.
It's our little child.
Our little child. Well, why don't we go into the next song? What do we think?
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. Si?
Sí,
Sí.
bueno.
Bueno. Gracias.
Sorry I was late to your party when everyone was so effortless.
What was that song called?
That song's called, right, I don't need that. That song's called Letter of Apology.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So, how do you describe? You said cosmic Americana. Like, what
I
does
believe
that
that's
mean
what it
to
says
me?
on my website, yes.
What does that mean to you? Like, how do you describe? If you know, you meet somebody and you say, "Oh, I'm a musician," and they say, "Oh, what does your music sound like?" I mean, how do you describe your music?
This happens to me every day, and
Yeah.
I don't have any good answers. I don't
It's
tell people
tricky.
in bars cosmic Americana because it makes me sound like, am I allowed to swear?
Probably not.
Okay. Fill in the end of that sentence.
Yeah. Okay. I will.
Makes me sound like a,
Like a.
yeah.
But really, like, how do you describe your music? And that's kind of, it's really, I feel like, a problem that
It's
even
hard.
I have, you know, as somebody who's booking shows and trying to describe bands to
Yeah,
people.
I get chided a lot for not having an elevator pitch type short, succinct description for my band, but I also don't really know how to do it.
No one expects that.
People say things like that. They're like, oh, well, no one's ever going to listen if you don't know how to immediately present it to them.
Right.
Well, if you had, let's say you had a few different bands that already exist throughout history that you could kind of compare what you're going for, what would you say?
Man. We were talking about the Allman
He just
Brothers
called out
before.
the Allman Brothers song, Jessica.
Jessica.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I mean, it's somewhere between something like that, like Allman Brothers or Creedence, and
No,
I like to
really?
say Fleetwood,
then Fleetwood Mac is certainly there.
the band.
Influence, even just like your influences.
Yeah, those are
right?
definitely influences. But also, like I play in Debo Band, which is a band that plays Ethiopian music. So I spend a ton of time, like deep in a lot of Ethiopian music, and that definitely gets into a lot of the stuff that we play. There's a lot of like more rhythmic music on the record we've worked on most recently. It's not out yet, but that definitely derives a lot from that.
And and to say like your other instrument in Debo Band is
As a saxophone, yeah.
So
Yeah, I definitely come to this as a saxophone player first and a guitar player second, which is funny.
interesting.
As someone who's not going to play the saxophone during this set.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that definitely affects my writing a lot. And I grew up listening to jazz. I mean, I think in terms of structure and form, I still think about that stuff a lot.
Okay.
I don't know, this is what happens every time I try to do this. You get lost
That's
on
okay.
these rabbit holes.
I
And-
think the cosmic part is like, because I didn't write it, I can say some jerk stuff. And, but it's kind of like the existential, metaphysical, and then like the mystery of the production of songs that you love. I think a lot of people are like, I've seen cosmic Americana as a thing, and I think it's
Yeah.
sort of like, you know, that Willie Nelson song, Hello Walls, and like the hello, and they're like, where are they coming from? Or that Flamingo song, I Only Have Eyes for You. I think that feels cosmic, and I think that's some part of why people use the.
Yeah.
it's
I think
it's
pop
just
music is
reverb.
inherently mysterious.
We do reverb Americana.
Cosmic reverb Americana.
Oh,
There
God.
we go. And Gabe, you're writing all this music.
Yes.
Okay. Always.
I mean, so he says.
what's the process like? I mean, what's
It just
your process?
appears in my, I have a fireplace in my apartment that's not used, and just every once in a while I wake up and there's just some sheet music there, so let's bring it in.
Brilliant.
Uh,
Very lucky you are.
I know, right?
Yes.
Uh,
The easy way.
process is complicated and changes a lot. Some of these songs, I wrote the lyrics completely separately from the music. I've done some artist residencies where I got to experiment with how I write, and those have impacted my songwriting a lot in terms of, I don't know, when you're writing by sort of just improvising lyrics along with a melody, it's very natural to want to stick to a rhyme scheme, which is cool, but also the rhyme schemes tend to lead you to saying the same things over and over again, and to saying you want to like sort of tie everything up in a neat little ribbon with a neat little ribbon, and say like one very punchy, succinct thing. But the world, as I experience it, is not really like that. It's like extremely chaotic and confusing all of the time. And I'm trying to get more towards capturing some of that. One of the songs we're going to play later is literally about moving apartments in New York City from Ridgewood to Bushwick.
Wow.
And a lot of the details are pretty straight on descriptions of things that happened in a day in my life. But
Well,
somehow,
it's too bad we're not going to play that one, because that would be segue
great segue into
Nailing
this song.
the segue.
Yeah, well, this song actually can be described similarly, but this song is about something that happened to me in which I went with a bunch of friends and took mushrooms and hung out in Prospect Park.
Yes, let's play that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Piled into seats, windows down, the day ahead like a feast. Driving the streets to the beach. A band of what were they called? I see the world as a room without walls. Eyeing girls drinking gets it's cold and tall. We pop the shrooms on the roof. Night falls, we shake the party for the street. And suddenly all we see is so good you can't believe. The stone arch, the best park, our shadows in the dark. Time cast a line back to Olmsted and Vox. Struck dumb laughing at a bird on the pond. Call it a lie. Call it a lie. I don't mind. Call it a lie. Call it a lie. I don't mind. Call it a lie. Call it a lie. I don't mind. Call it a lie. Call it a lie. I don't mind. Call it a lie. Call it a lie. I don't mind. Call it a lie. Call it a lie. I don't mind. Call it a lie. Call it a lie. I don't mind. Call it a lie. Call it a lie. I don't mind. No, I was close to the source. I know I was close to the source.
Nice. Sorry, sometimes.
get excited.
You know, I'd love to hear a little bit about the Saddle Creek series that you guys were working on.
Yeah.
And if you could just explain, maybe for those who don't know, what Saddle Creek is and just a little about the document series and
Yeah.
all of that.
Saddle Creek is an independent record label originally out of Omaha, now based in LA. And they put out great music. They releasing a great record by a band called Big Thief, who are friends of ours. They put out Sam Evion's record. And they made their name about 10-ish years ago, putting out Bright Eyes records and a lot of, what else, The Faint, a lot of like classic early indie rock, emo-y indie rock. And they're having a sort of renaissance right now, and they're putting out some great records, but there's more bands they would like to work with than they can really reasonably put out albums by. So they started a series called Document to sort of explore more regional scenes. So they put out 7-inch with the song New Streets that we just played on it. We represent Brooklyn in this series. They put out, they're putting one out with Palehound, Ellen Kempner, her awesome project. Hand Habits is doing one. The band Posse from Seattle was the first release. Yeah, so it's really cool. There's sort of a design template that's really nice that repeats with each band's different artwork and photographs.
And so they're picking like a band per city?
Yeah, I don't know exactly the limitations on the project, but yeah, basically it's all supposed to be like, you know, supposed to represent regionality. So we did New Streets, that song we just played, because it's so rooted in Brooklyn. The whole song is roving around Brooklyn. Yeah, so it felt appropriate.
And what was, you know, like the whole process of recording that? Was Saddle Creek behind that, or like how does a label kind of like interact with those recordings for something
honestly,
like this?
Well, that song was recorded by us before we ever talked to them about anything.
Okay, got it.
It's on a record that we made. That is.
So they curated those records. So
Yeah, that was the song that they were most into. Also, a lot of our songs that we recorded on this record are pretty long, and for something to fit on a 45 RPM 7-inch, it has to be fairly short.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
So getting into talking about the new record a little bit.
Sure.
And that just was released, right? I mean, like
The single that we put out with them. So New
Okay.
Streets and that first song, Only Child, those are the A and B sides of the single that is now out in the world on vinyl.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's next in terms of like what else you're putting out?
You tell me. I don't honestly know. We have a lot of music. We have a record that we're trying to figure out the process of getting it out to the world. We have a lot of new music. We just recorded a couple new songs the other day. A studio in Brooklyn called Mason Jar.
Awesome.
Yeah, great studio with Jeremy McDonald. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have so much music. We're just trying to figure out the best way to get it out to the hungry ears
The
of
masses.
Americans.
Well, let's get some out right now and go into the next song. What do we think? Yeah?
Cool, that sounds good.
All right.
Yes.
Station slowly rising into cascading light from high windows. Going to great city. Can't you feel the pull? Down Washington. beer. And a pack of gorgeously criminal cigarettes. I sit on my porch after work with Elliot Smith in my ears. As I watch the storm break over Somerville again and 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 again, like a teenage hawk in a rapture of misery. Through the scenes of which joy will sing.
sometimes I'm like, God, I gotta talk to you right after you, like, I just did that whole thing. You know, I'm sorry. I'm just, you know,
ready.
It's okay.
doing my job, doing
Stay
my
in your
job
job.
here. I thought, you know, that what we were just talking about before you guys play that song was kind of going in an interesting direction, and just you guys have been here, most of you have been here for, you know, over 5 years and living in Brooklyn and living in the music scene, and I'm just kind of curious as musicians where you think, you know, what do you think of Brooklyn as a place for musicians to be having their careers and growing, and even compared to 5 years ago, you know, like where are we right now in a place of like supporting music comparatively to other places in the country too? I mean, where does
Hard for me.
Brooklyn really like stand? Because you're touring too, like you guys are going
We are.
around to other cities and like seeing what the landscape is like in those cities. And
It's hard for me to speak categorically about any of that stuff, really. I don't feel like I quite have a grasp on it.
I think it's hard everywhere.
Yeah, basically.
It's hard everywhere now. It was probably hard everywhere
5 years
before,
ago.
5 or 55 years ago.
Yeah.
But here, people can do it in a
Yeah.
way that I don't see people able to do it other places.
There are exceptions, but in general, it seems like it's easier to. I mean, I feel like I know for a fact that we would not have put out a single on Saddle Creek without a connection that we made through being physically in New York and playing shows here. So there's that. I mean, that kind of stuff you just can't replace with anything, really. I think that's why we're all here. I think we're all. You know, no one wants to talk about it, but we're all ambitious. We're trying to make careers for ourselves, and there's a reason we pay the New York City rent and work in bars and all that. I mean, 2 of us were late to sound check because we were working jobs.
right.
It's
But
what
of
you
course,
do.
like any other person who's trying to have a career at anything, you know, artistic or not, you know,
Yeah.
you're ambitious and you're trying to make the best of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So
I also think you know, what's important is growing with the people that you grow with and that you know, and you can do that in a lot of different places. But once you set roots down in a place, it's difficult to just pick that up. I mean, to an extent, from touring, we know people in a lot of places in America, but still, I mean, when I think about leaving New York, which there are, you know, certainly benefits to, it just seems sort of impossible. Like everyone I grow with as peers and collaborators, they're all here.
yeah. And what have you kind of seen, like when you're touring, like are there other cities that you gravitate toward that you feel like you could be there, it could happen if you were in this other city? Or are there other cities where you're like, wow, I could never have a career here as a musician? I mean,
I feel like we could have a really fun time in Cincinnati and Milwaukee.
really?
Those cities are very kind to us all the time. We always have great shows there.
Okay.
But I think that just has to do with the people that we've met there. And, you
Yeah.
know, sometimes in a scene that's less large and cutthroat and aggressive than New York, like, people can be incredibly welcoming and friendly. And if you find the right person, they can basically connect you to the whole music scene in a city.
Yeah.
Not to sound dismissive, but I mean,
No, totally.
it's cool. When we went on that crazy tour in 2012, we met a really awesome dude in Milwaukee named Al Kramer, who just like still our friend, and we always stay at his place. And
He wears fantastic denim.
he's a denim man.
A lot of French.
A
Yeah, a
lot
lot
of
of French.
Canadian
man short
tuxedo.
shorts. He's
Yeah.
got locks,
Very
long
Jim,
curly
very
locks
Jim Morrison,
of hair.
dude.
All
I
right.
love
don't
that.
fully understand him. He also plays Xbox a lot.
He's an enigma, but he's an amazing dude.
And do you feel like the crowds have kind of just been? Do you feel like the crowds when you're on tour are different than crowds in Brooklyn?
Yes, because we don't know them.
Besides not knowing them, I mean, of course,
Well, that
that's a
affects how
part
we
of
play
it.
a
Of
lot.
like when you have shows here, you're recognizing people in the crowd when you're performing
so
on
fun.
stage. But
It's the same way that people don't jaywalk in Portland, Oregon. It's
Right.
like there is like some kind of group behavior to places.
yeah,
definitely.
And
People dance sometimes in other cities. That's
Yeah.
different from what we see in New York.
okay.
no one dances in New York.
Nobody's dancing in New York.
People are standing
our
there with their
shows.
arms crossed,
Yeah, it's just how people. I mean, that's what I do here. I'm not blaming them for it.
being judgy, standing there with
Probably.
their arms
Yeah.
crossed. Well, why don't we go into the next one?
Cool. The
it
song
called?
is called "Drunk Driver."
All right.
Don't worry, guys. It's a metaphor. Everything's okay. Sorry, this air conditioning is really doing a number on my intonation.
You lay hands on my shoulder, ask me how I've been, like any fool who thought it'd be forever king. But those who rise on handouts sit on paper thrones. It just takes one lit match and steady time to fuck 'em in their heart. The way your life disintegrates during someone's Thursday bar shift and the band plays on. The way your life disintegrates in plain view on the dance floor to the sound of high life's popping. In the band plays on. In the band plays Drank whiskey from a silver flask on Bushwick Avenue that caught the streetlights sucker bright. By the deli window with old soda sitting sun-bleached in the shimmer at night. Untouched for years and out of date, who would I been when they went fresh into the light? I drank away the obvious truth of bodies, secrets hiding sadder than you'd think. The reality seizure around me. Innocent Thursday, the worst day in innocent Thursday, the worst day of my life. I'll scatter his teeth, being clean and emptiness grins, and I know it's a game I can't win. says a drunk driver exhales and turns the key.
Thank you.
That song rules so much.
Thanks.
I really like just feeling that song. Let's just go into the next one.
You
Okay.
should just start asking us questions during the song.
Yes.
How'd you get that part? I like that part.
There's a song
All right,
about
yeah.
moving.
What is it?
There's the one about moving that I mentioned before.
Oh, right.
It's called
Full circle now.
Full Circle. It's
All
called
right.
Closer to God. Oh, this is, yeah. Get in there.
Get in there.
Today was the last day, everything in a pyramid of boxes in the room had a blank mind look. Like no one had ever conned the landlord out of $1,000 with a sick cat and a vet bill made the poor bastard cry. Cracked a 9 a.m. beer, regular like going to work, fled a month's rent to Mexico, battled the demon bedbug. Closer to God, every day I get closer to God. Closer to God, every day I get closer to God. Me and the cat went way back, I'd be in bed trying not to hear the sticky breath and finally floating up to the other place they got. When the bed would telltale, yeah, she'd be purring with desperate love, no one to give it to. Just when I had forgotten I was alone. Closer to God, every day I get closer to God. Closer to God, every day I get ever closer to God. But the movers called to say they weren't there. Thanks said Father Lou, he looked strung out and stumbled. I remembered when we met. Well, he was walking across the cottage lawn, a baby blue bathrobe on, birds perched on his fingers. But the city does things to you. Well, the day was endless and aimless. A well days cow would say it was cold cans at dusk. When the movers called to say, hey, closer to God, every day I get closer to God. Closer to God, every day I get closer to God. Well, the new place was a canvas, and we were brush heavy with paint, but somebody's shit was in the freight elevator. When I found them down the hall, crowded in couches like a couple Van Goghs, they turned their magic glasses and their functional love. Closer to God, every day I get closer to God. Closer to God, every day I get ever closer. The lovers turn to you, the lovers say no.
Bangers for Days.
Oh yeah. Nothing but. That's the new name of our band.
That's our new band name.
Oh yeah.
Besides
Bangers for
Google
Days.
Docs. Google Docs and Bangers for Days. My new band.
MyNewBands.com.
Well, you guys have your release party coming up. Not
We
many
sure
know
do.
about it because it hasn't been announced, but maybe we could talk about it for a second.
Sure. We're gonna do a release celebration for our new vinyl single on Saddle Creek at Baby's All Right in Williamsburg on July 19th with Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
gonna be a great night.
Presented by LPR.
Presented by LPR.
Of course, of course.
Of course, LPR
All right.
presents.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. And, you know, it's just about that time for us to get out of here. But before we do, I want to give a hearty thanks to Wilder Maker, the makers of some wildly beautiful music. Make sure to check out their new EP, New Streets. More info on their website at wildermaker.com. And while you're hanging out in cyberspace, why not head to BRIC TV's YouTube channel where you can rewatch this and past episodes of B-Side as well. My name is Rachel Pazdan, and it has been a pleasure communing with you this evening. Go out, see some live music this weekend. And all right, Wilder Maker, take us out with one more song right after this.
Blood rained in mud, but the soul is packed. My hand played the blood and the crowd calling out. And the beer filling up the plastic cups. Dogs running free as we're stuck in crowded streets. Jesus saves, so does pizza. And a cheap motel. Too big. College cafe to a crowd of six. Cards blow the game and there's nowhere to turns and saves the day. And we're counting lucky stars, watching on demand TV.